Hello everyone. It's Ken with cslearner.com, and today is actually, I guess, like a video blog, right? And I actually haven't found any video blog software that lets me use the webcam, but that's okay. For this specific video blog, I'm actually wanting. There's an article that popped up, and I just wanted to talk about it. Although, if anyone knows a good video blogging software, something that uses like the webcam on a laptop, that would be awesome. But otherwise, I just want to talk about an article I found. So I found this article, and actually how I stumbled on it was on Reddit/r/CS career, or it's like CS career questions. And it's a forum about mostly it's computer science students asking each other questions about the workforce, right? But someone asked about Java, and someone threw this link up, and they're like, is Java actually used that much in the workforce? And this popped up, and I thought it was super interesting, and it just talks about some very high demand languages, and I just wanted to look at this list and share it with you guys. And it's just super cool. So it's SQL, Java, HTML, JavaScript, C++, C Sharp, XML, C, Perl, and Python. So I'm looking SQL. I think SQL alone is it's pretty amazing, right? Like I've done a few personal projects with SQL, and SQL it's structured query languages, structured query language, and it's used for databases. And the reason that I believe SQL is so freaking important is because in everything you do as a computer scientist, it's going to involve data at some point, right? So, for example, even with websites, like if we go to like Reddit, right? It's like, let's imagine we go to Reddit. Out there someplace is a database, and it's tracking all this random stuff, right? And it has links to all of it. And when you work in a business, they're going to track information about your customers. They're going to track information about the employees. They're going to track like sales information, right? And information is so important. And I'll say it's a big thing of what we do with computers. Even with like this website, right? We look at it and it's got to store some sort of information somewhere, right? Java is super cool. It's used for, it mentions it's used for Android applications. I've noticed, I don't know what other computer science departments are like. The one at my university, Weber State University in Ogden, Utah, it's everyone loves Android. Like computer science students, we love Android. I think if I went to like a liberal arts department, it would be all freaking what would it be? It would be a lot of iPhones, right? Our beloved iSheep, we love them despite who they are. But for computer science students, a lot of us love Android. We love our Android applications, and it's used for a lot. I know Java can be used for other desktop things as well. I don't know a lot about Java though. I do know I've seen a lot of. So when I go to career fairs, I grab like the little job descriptions, right? Because they list off what languages they're using, and it's a lot of people list that they want people who can use Java. So that's one I'm keeping an eye on. I'm not good at it yet. The computer science department, so I'm a student at Weber State, and mainly we've been using C++ so far. I'm going to be learning a little bit of C, and I used Java for like an intro class, but I didn't really get to know it. HTML, right? And it lists off HTML is used for the internet, right? It's a markup language. So for example, this page we're looking at is HTML. And as a cool heads up, if you right click on any random web page, let's see if I can find it. There it is. So right click on any random web page, click view source, and it lets you view the HTML code of any website. And you can use this to get to know better stuff, or to get to know better programming, and you can see how they did it. I will mention HTML is used a lot with other languages because this is just the markup language. And then like with web pages, you're going to use a lot of CSS. CSS stands for, it pops up, that's cool. Cascading style sheets. And basically what it is you set up a CSS sheet, and it's almost like object-oriented programming for web pages, where you can reference that cascading style sheet, and then it just takes care of the other stuff. So for example, I'm sure it'll change down the road, but right now my super basic disgusting cslearner.com, you can look at this one, and it's very, very, very simple. But if you view the source, let's see if I can find it. So there's my, there we go. Is it awful? I'm dissecting my own web page. So you see my web page, it uses a cascading style sheet, and I'm borrowing, on my final project, I used a basic CSS page, right? And it references it. So we're going to go to cslearner/final project. So oh, I guess I have to open it. Let's use Notepad. Let's see what it looks like. Alright, so this is, okay, mine's really basic. I forgot how basic this was. I didn't get a great score on the final project, right? So this is my cascading style sheet. And as you can see, mine's really basic, but what I did is I said the body of my web pages should be blue. And what this means is I can, every time I make a web page, I just reference this final project.css. And what happens is it changes all the backgrounds of every web page that uses this cascading style sheet to blue. And anything that uses this cascading style sheet, it makes all images float left, which in the case of this web page, you notice the image is on the left side of the page and the text is on the right, and that's because this is floating left, so everything moves to the right around it. Alright, so that's pretty cool. And then JavaScript is like the interactive stuff. I don't know that too well. One thing I'll mention with JavaScript is a lot of people use something called jQuery. Let's actually, I want to type it out so you can see it. So jQuery. And what jQuery is it's a JavaScript library. And what that means is, like with jQuery, they've created all this code for you, and you just punch out a keyword, and by using that keyword, you can access pre-made JavaScript code. So it's almost like object-oriented programming again, where something's already been made and you reuse it over and over and over and over. So we just kind of talked about JavaScript. It's used a lot in web. I don't know a lot about it, unfortunately. I know jQuery uses it a lot. I know it's used a lot for the web. It's something I need to know. Oh, it mentions jQuery. I think that's really, really good. C++. I think C++, like it's used a lot. It's not super exciting. I think something interesting that I read is a popular video game right now called League of Legends was actually made using C++ code. So this is, it's used a lot. One thing I'll mention is sometimes we talk about in our field how the field changes so much, and if you went even just 2 years without learning something new, you would be completely obsolete in the computer science field. And I think it applies to some other fields like electrical engineering, where if you're not learning constantly, you're going to be out of date. Now, a lot of people look at C++ and Java as well, and they're like, well, these languages have been around so long, you know, maybe if I learn these, I won't have to learn a bunch of new stuff. But something that's been pointed out to me is like the libraries. We kind of talked about libraries a little earlier. The libraries for C++ are constantly changing, and I know they update the C++ standard library from time to time, and you have to learn those new tools. So C++, I like it a lot. I've done, I'm not good at it, but I really enjoy it. It's really flexible. It's really adaptable. It lets you manage memory. C#, I've heard, I don't know a ton about it. I haven't programmed in it yet. Let's see. But I do know C# is another one. I've heard C# and Java are very similar. Like if you learn Java, you can learn C# incredibly quickly. So it's kind of like if you know Spanish, it's very easy to learn Portuguese, and if you know Portuguese, it's very easy to learn Spanish. Same thing with C# and Java. They're two very similar languages, similar syntax. And I know with C#, like I haven't used it a lot. I have just a book about it, and I guess it's intended to be easier to use, but I don't know a lot about it. I can't really comment on it. XML. Let's see. Extensive markup language. I don't know a lot about this. I think it's used. It's like raw data. So like you can use a SQL server and spit out raw data, and then I think you can use web pages. Oh, it mentions. Okay. It's not listening to me. Let's see. So it's used in dynamic web pages and databases. So I don't know a lot about that. That makes sense to me though. I think it'd be used a lot in web pages. C. And I was saying the C programming language, not like SI, like Spanish. So I know C is you can't really, as far as I'm aware, I don't think you can use object-oriented programming with C, but I've heard C is very similar to it's almost like assembler. It's very similar to machine language, and because of that, C is a very efficient language. It's the language used in it says operating system, device drivers. Let's see it. I don't think this one mentions it. It's used in embedded systems, is one I read in a textbook. In embedded systems, it's extremely simple programs that are on devices you would use every day. So, for example, your washing machine, right? You have the little dial and you spin it and you turn it on and then you leave. Well, what's actually happening when you do that is there is an embedded system, so you're actually interacting with a very, very simple computer. But the reason you want to use C for that is you need a very small, efficient program because the computer, like in a washing machine, is probably a piece of crap. Like it's not good, doesn't have a lot of processing. It'd be very, very simple, so you need a very, very simple, clean program. Right? You need a simple program that can just tell the washing machine to work. And then I think it also has a lot of control, and because it's one of those great power, great responsibility. Like it's adaptable, but it can screw you over hard if you make mistakes. Perl and Python, unfortunately, I don't know anything about any of these. I need to study. I don't even know what Perl is. Let's see. I guess it develops graphical interfaces. That's super cool. Let's see. Python. I don't know about Python, so I haven't personally programmed in Python. I always hear very positive things about it, but I've heard some programmers complain that people who start learning programming with Python learn some bad habits. So, for example, in C++, we are constantly using what are we using? We constantly have semicolons everywhere, and there's a bunch of C++ programs, and on your homework, if you're having problems and it won't compile correctly, there's a very real possibility you're literally just missing one semicolon in your program and it's screwing you over hard. Python doesn't have all that stuff. I think it's intended to be very noob friendly. So I think that can be good and bad. I've heard lots of positive things about Python. I know on Reddit/r/learn programming and other subreddits and forums about programming, a lot of people really, really like Python. And I could see it as being a very good programming language to focus on concept and not worry a lot about syntax. And I've heard Python's used a lot in colleges. I haven't personally used Python at Weber State University, and as far as I'm aware, there aren't any classes that use Python, but it's still still a good thing. Yeah, it's been fun. I just enjoyed talking about this. I think the biggest thing about the computer science industry is you need to be adaptable. Excuse me. So I know something when I first started, I assumed like you get this shotgun blast of stuff you need to know, and then you specialize in like one language, right? So I imagined I'd go through, become a jack of all trades, but then specialize in SQL and only use SQL for the rest of my life. Or I'd only learn Java, or I'd only be a web developer, which I guess you can theoretically just focus on web development, right? Or I thought maybe I'd just be C++ and Java, right? And it'd be very simple. But the longer I study computer science, the more I'm convinced like you need to be adaptable. You need to be willing to learn multiple languages. You need to be willing to learn a lot of new concepts. And you need to know a lot of information. Although one consolation, I have a friend named Oz Lopez, and he pointed out being a software developer means never ever knowing enough. Like as a computer science student, like I'm constantly learning and it's incredibly difficult. My GPA is the highest. My GPA right now is like 3.2, right? And when I was doing generals is 3.4. And I've only been at this like maybe a year of strictly computer science, right? Kind of past the gen eds. And it's really, really hard. But part of being a computer science student, part of being a software engineer is acknowledging you're never going to know everything you need to know, but you got to keep studying. You got to keep being willing to learn. You got to keep being willing to do personal projects. You need to be willing to go the extra mile. But it's been pleasant chatting with all y'all. Let me know what you think. And thank you so much. I think I learn a lot more from this than any of you do. So I'm just really glad to have all y'all. So take it easy and have a good one. And this is goodbye from Ken at cslearner.com.